Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for not holding my brother's new baby? I, 26F, have an older brother, 30M, who just had his first child. Growing up, we were super close, but recently, October of last year, we had a massive falling out, and I decided I didn't want him in my life. This occurred when his GF was maybe 3 months pregnant. Since then, my family, mostly mom, dad, and other brothers, have been on me about fixing it. I'm really just not interested. He said a lot of hurtful things and crossed a lot of lines, and after certain things are said, it's very hard to look at him the same. It got to the point where my mom would bring him up every time I talked to her, which was daily. And I had to tell her that I was on the verge of going and see, because it was all too overwhelming. She said she'd stop, and to her credit, she did ease up a lot. That changed when his GF's pregnancy got hard, and then my mom would come to me about always being crying, asking how to fix it. He's so remorseful he just made a mistake. You should think about letting it go. He started to call me private with it. We should apologize and get over this. And I expressed that I would not be apologizing for anything because I did nothing wrong, and would prefer if he just accepted what our current situation was and left me alone. The private calls didn't stop, and although they weren't hostile, just forms of begging. After that, I hate to say it, I was super overwhelmed and just buckled to the pressure and unblocked him. Mind you, he still has me blocked on all forms of social media. Not that it matters to me. IDC, it's just interesting that all the heat is on me and no one else, when I'm the one who was wronged. I traveled this weekend back home to meet my niece, not his baby, but my baby brother's because he had a baby this January. He decided to come over to my mom's, bring the baby and his GF. It's important to know that I have never had the opportunity to meet her, and this was the very first time. My mom did give me a pep talk before and asked that I speak to the baby and hold her because it would make her and my brother happy. And I expressed that I had no animosity towards an innocent child and I would interact. But when her mom brought her in, she immediately placed her in her lap. No, I was not the only one there, but her energy was so weird I didn't even feel getting close to see what the baby even looked like. So I approached and said, "Hey, I know I'm a stranger and I don't want to hoover. Just wanted to take a peek at the baby." When I looked at her, I said, "She's super cute. A copy-paste of you." She didn't say thank you. "Would you like to hold her?" Nothing. It was just weird. It was so clear that she was uncomfortable that her and her child was there. My brother pulled me in the back to talk soon after, apologizing for bringing his baby into our drama. He made a lot of really mean comments around his child and me and my S/O recent miscarriage, and told me he wouldn't stand in the way of our relationship, and if I wanted to hold her, all I had to do was ask. I told him I didn't feel like I should have to give, and that's why he brought her over, and that it was all too weird and it was okay. He said he'd bring her back later in the week without her mom, so I could properly interact with her. I left soon after because I was just super uncomfortable. He did bring her back on the day we were packing up the car to head back home, but I had decided I didn't want to hold the baby. Her mom's blatant uncomfort made me physically itch. I don't think it's fair to make her uncomfortable not even 30 days after having birth for my own selfish reasons. But everybody is attacking me, saying I took it too far and that I'm being extremely evil and facetious to a baby. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for taking my daughter's college fund back after she said she was going no contact? A bit of background. I, 45F, am a single mom of 2 kids, Ella, 18F, and Jake, 16M. My husband died when the kids were young, and I've worked extremely hard to support them both emotionally and financially. My husband left behind a life insurance policy, and I've been saving part of that money for their college education since she was a little girl. Ella has always dreamed of going to a prestigious college. We've had many talks about how important education is, and I made sure she knew that the fund I was building for her and Jake was specifically for their education. I wasn't able to afford luxuries like vacations or new cars, but I wanted to make sure they wouldn't be burdened with student loans. Recently, though, things have become strained with Ella. She started dating a guy I met, 19M, a few months ago, and I feel like her personality has completely changed since. She's become distant, rude, and dismissive of anything I say. She's said hurtful things like I smother her or treat her like a child. I've tried giving her space, but last week, during a particularly bad argument, she said she was going no contact with me once she went to college and would never look back. I was devastated. After everything I sacrificed, to hear that she'd cut me out was heartbreaking. I didn't want to react out of emotion, so I waited a few days to cool off, but eventually, I made the decision that if she truly wanted nothing to do with me, then I wasn't going to fund her education. I told her if she's planning to go no contact with me after college, she should consider her fund off the table, and I'd split it between Jake and myself for other things. She exploded, calling me vindictive, manipulative, and selfish. She thinks I'm trying to control her by dangling the money over her head. I've talked to a few friends about this, and reactions have been mixed. Some say I'm within my rights because the money is mine, and I can do with it what I see fit. Others say that I'm punishing her for her feelings, and that I'm being controlling by using the money as leverage. So, am I the bad person for taking back my daughter's college fund after she said she was going no contact with me? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for not being more sympathetic when my brother's wife cheated on him? I, F28, have a best friend called David. Our parents are neighbors, and we literally grew up together. He's like my brother. My real brother, 31, is Avi. He is an asshole. My parents love him. He can do no wrong. He stole from me constantly. I made money babysitting to buy my own stuff, and he would steal it or the stuff like my iPod, and my parents would not punish him. In short, Avi is a shit person. David started dating Shoshana in high school. It was his first real girlfriend. I was a little jealous of all the time he spent with her, but I was happy for him. She is beautiful and smart, at least outwardly. David and I both got accepted to Northwestern, but she went to Iowa State to stay close to her parents. She cheated on David with Avi while we were freshmen, because Avi is a prick and she is a whore. I never forgave them. David was crushed. He worked through it. Avi ended up getting her pregnant and married her. She dropped out to be a mom. Like I said, outwardly smart. Avi works for my dad, so he makes good money and can afford it. He just found out that she has been cheating on him. He was at my parents' house when I went there for a visit. When my mom told me why I asked her what he really expected from her, she cheated to be with him. My mom said I was being an asshole for holding a grudge for 10 years. I said I don't have a grudge, and that it was an honest question. He knew for a fact that she cheated on a relationship. Why did he think she would change? My mom said to drop it and not bring up his past to Avi. I didn't. I gave him fake sympathy and asked if he needed anything. He said he was fine. I did tell David and his wife about it though. He snorted. Should I have been more sympathetic? Am I the bad person? Can't wrap my head around that story. What do you think? Who was in the wrong there? Let us know down in the comments section, and let's move on to our last case. Case 4. Am I the bad person for not wanting to accept my brother's apology after he lied to CPS? I have no idea what to do right now. I am so angry with my brother that I now keep my front door locked 24/7 so him and his wife don't just walk in. So let's start with the fact that my brother is clean and sober and has been for a few years, married with 2 boys, cause also relevant. I, on the other hand, smoke the green cause it is legal where I live. He has also had an increasing issue with this fact, believing the only way to properly live is to be sober, and even the smallest idea of using drugs is frowned upon. Not to help the fact I have 2 kids, and he kept joking this past 3 months that he was going to call CPS cause he doesn't like the way I parent. Well, last Sunday I got the call from a social working trying to find my house so he could come and see if my kids were doing okay. The call came with a laundry list of complaints, which whereas the caseworker noted completely unfounded, and this whole thing was a waste of time. The caseworker asked my eldest questions to see if anything was true, and he could see in her face that she was confused on why he would ask such weird things. Well, in my confusion, I called my mother and sister to tell them what had just happened. I was in the process of explaining to them what had gone down when my brother and his wife walked through the door. I didn't want to ask the question, but I couldn't stop it from coming out of my mouth. The way this man shrugged his shoulders and said, "Yes, I did. Why?" I immediately lost my shit. I told him to get out of my house and that I never wanted to see his face again. He and his wife quickly shuffled out of the house while I went to go cry in a room away from the kids. 4 days later, and the case is being closed. CPS had said there was nothing in our homes or about us that would or should cause them to be involved. Now my brother and his wife are trying to message me and guilt me into forgiving him, but there isn't a fiber of my being that has any forgiveness for him. Am I the bad person? You've sat down. You've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it going to be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.